cool as he is, man. Ain't nobody cooler than this. Man, he's so cool, man, so smooth. Listen to the answer. What have you done to prepare for it? Man, it's cold. We're not afraid of death. We know that death is coming. The question is not when are we going to die. The question is, when will we begin to live? Because if you have not prepared and you don't know your purpose in this life, then you have not even begun to live. We got to live. We have to live. You know, before I can speak about the atrocities that we have experienced in this country, we have to speak about the first racist. Listen to the conversation between Allah and Satan. When Allah tells Satan to bow down to Adam, Shaitan, Satan, A'udhu Billah, he says, Ana khayrun minhu. Khalaqtani min nar, khalaqtahu min tin. He says, I am better than him. I was created from smokeless fire. He was created from dirt, from mud. The first racist was Shaitan. So those who are racist are standing on a satanic foundation. And by the way, you got mental health issues, because how in the world do you believe that you are better than somebody that you never met, and better than somebody solely based upon something that you had no control over? Huh? And this is what we see happening in America. And what I want my brothers and sisters to know is that not only should we fight for Syria and fight for Lebanon and fight for Somalia and fight for Palestine and fight for all of these countries and the injustice that's taking place, but you got to also fight for Cleveland and Chicago and Minnesota, where black and brown people are being slaughtered at the hands of a system that they helped create. If we want to see a change, it got to start right in our masjids, don't it? Oh yeah, we got to talk now. We can't talk about liberation and talk about freedom and talking about doing all the good work and the things that Donald Trump is doing and not doing. And we have these small Donald Trumps who lead the boards of our masjids, huh? I'm not talking about your dad, by the way. I'm talking about your uncle. We won't ever be successful as a community as long as our Muslim women do not have voices in the masjid and have positions of power. We will never be great. We will never be successful if you follow the sunnah of Bilal and you call the adhan. But if Bilal was to walk into your masjid, you tell him to get out, or you treat him with so much hatred that he would want to leave. Don't you understand and know, for my brothers and sisters who are Arab and Indian and Pakistani, don't you know that you stand on the foundation of black Muslims? You got to know that. And until you recognize that and appreciate that and respect that, then know that anything that you do in the inner city of America, you are not doing anyone a favor. You are repaying a debt that was paid for you to be here. Hopefully this is not my last Book of Muslim event, but this is important. You have to know this. You have to respect. I don't care what you think about the theology of the Nation of Islam. You must respect the womb that bore you. Because I'm going to tell you something right now, sisters. You are more comfortable walking in the inner city of America with your hijabs than you will ever be in rural America. You know why? Even though these young men and these older men, they don't even know how to say it. Salam alaikum, sister. They don't even know how to say it, but they know that if you mess with that sister with that hijab on, they don't even know how to say hijab. That thing on her head, if you mess with her, it's going to be serious consequences. When you look at places like Chicago and Detroit and Cleveland and the Midwest. Oh man, you're talking about a major impact of the Muslims. So when you look at Black Muslims, you must pay respect and pay honor. Don't you talk about Black people just in February. You just as bad as anyone else. How can you do that when you see all of these amazing Black Sahabas around the Prophet? When you look at the man who's talked about more than any other man in the Quran, is Prophet Musa, and it's crystal clear that he was a Black man. Now you may say, Basheer, color's not important. Well, if it ain't important, stop lying about it then. If it ain't important, then don't lie to us. And the problem is that when Black people became Muslims, many of them threw away white supremacy and picked up Arab supremacy, believing that being Arab or being closer to Arab means being closest to Muhammad, and that is a lie. That is a lie. That is a lie. And we must teach our children that Blackness is not a curse. So, what's our next step? What do we do? Malcolm X, he said, Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, our Imam, one of our Imams, he says, if you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and you pull it out 6 inches, this is not progress. You have to take the knife all the way out, then you must heal the wound. America won't even recognize that the knife is there. This is our situation. Yes, you can't help. If you're a human being, you can't help but feel something in your heart to watch and look at this police officer with his knee in the neck of George Floyd. 8 minutes and 46 seconds. You can't help. If you're a human being, you can't help but to feel a sense of pain. I want to tell you something. For the past 400 years, America has had its knee on the neck of Black people in this country. You know, you think about this statement of I can't breathe. And you and I both know that breath is life. Matter of fact, the word inspiration literally means a breath of fresh air. So if breathing is life, then the antithesis of this is expiration, which is death. Black people are not just being stopped breathing under the knee of police officers. They're not breathing in workforces across this country. They're not breathing in front of judges. They're not breathing in classrooms. Every single institution you find structural racism. In the financial institutions, in the educational institutions, in the healthcare institutions, on and on and on. And guess what? Just because you don't see it, and just because you don't go through it, does not mean it does not exist. So why are people so angry? As we get into this, hopefully you got your pen and your paper. I'm gonna take my jacket off, man. We're gonna get into some, wish I had my board behind me so I can, but I know you got your pen and paper, right? Let's take 4 E's. There's 4 E's that make us who we are. 4 E's. The first E is environment. Environment, okay? So let's take a dog, all right? A dog from the suburbs and a dog from the urban area. I'll use that word. I know you know what I'm talking about. Now this dog from the suburbs, his name is Smoochie, all right? He got the new Jordans, sweaters. If Smoochie goes missing, $20,000 if you find Smoochie. Smoochie got better insurance than some human beings. Kiss each other in the mouth, the Smoochie and the owner. That's why I don't drink after nobody. I don't know who they got, astaghfirullah. You could take Smoochie to the doggy park. He plays with the other dogs nicely. They get along well. But the dog that come from where some of us come from, his name is Rufus, Optimus Prime, Killer. We feed him hot sauce, gunpowder, hot Cheetos. You could be walking on the other side of the street. You pose no threat to the property that Optimus Prime is guarding. And yet and still, Optimus Prime wants to get you, wants to harm you. Even the animals are upset where we come from. The cats, you gotta walk around them. The pigeons, you gotta just walk around. The squirrels don't even run no more. Even the animals are upset where we come from. The environment even impacts the animals. Now imagine the impact on human beings. Somebody said to me, they said, Basheer, what's up with the hood, man? You know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of crabs in a bucket mentality. I said, okay, let's stop right there. You know, I've been to plenty of beaches and I've seen crabs and I've never seen them pull at each other as they go towards this ocean of opportunity. So the question I want you to ask yourself is, who in the world put the crabs in a bucket? Because that ain't the natural place for crabs. Who created this environment? Because if you restrict the resources, then every creation of God will get into a survival mentality and do whatever it needs to do to survive, even if that means taking you out. So who created this environment for Black families? The castration of Black men took place during the time of slavery, but it still takes place today, where there's some government programs who will not help a family if a man is present. Huh? Ain't that castration? Ain't that a form of castration? Of course it is. When children can't look and see and be protected by their fathers, how does it feel? Can you imagine what it feels like to be a son or a daughter and watch your father and your fathers be murdered over and over and over again? Can you imagine what that looks like? Can you imagine how that feels? The trauma that exists in the Black community, the trauma that exists, it's not something that just happened to happen. It is something that has been orchestrated and played out well. The next E is exposure. Exposure. How many of you, I'm not even gonna have you raise your hands on this one. How many of you have walked into somebody's house and it smelled like death when you walked in? Oh my goodness, you like, yo, as soon as you walked in, you didn't say it because you have good adab, you know? You have this good character, so you didn't say, you have good manners, right? So you didn't say it, but you was thinking it. I wish somebody would light some Bakor right now because it smells like death in here. The kids is playing, everybody just relaxing, enjoying themselves. Yeah, yeah. Why is it that the people in the house can't smell it, but you can? Because they're used to it. And if you stay there long enough, you'll get used to it too. The last two E's, education and experiences. In education, I'm not talking about book knowledge. I'm talking about a very simple question. Who are you? Why are you here? Why were you created? What's your purpose? Why did Allah send you to this earth? Did he send you to this earth at this time? You could have been born at any other time, right? Why at this time in this moment? Were you created to be a problem? Or were you created to be a solution? So what do we do as we get to the solutions? What can you and I do to take our life to the next level? The first very thing that I want you to ask yourself is, what is your purpose? Well, Basheer, how do I find my purpose? You find your purpose by finding your passion. What is your passion? What do you enjoy to do? What do you like to do? What would you do that even if you didn't get any dollars for it, that you would still do it? What makes you happy? What makes you feel most alive? I was telling some of my youngins, man, some of them sell drugs. And I tell them, I say, listen, young, it ain't that you selling drugs because you want to kill people. And it's not even that you're selling drugs because you just want to make money. Because making money is not sufficient. It's not like you want to just have a bunch of money stacked in your closet so you can look at it and say, look at my money. It's what the money brings. It brings peace, doesn't it? And the fact is the type of work that you're doing, you will never feel at peace, even though you have money. So it's not that money, it's that you want peace. What is that thing that you do that makes you wake up in the morning excited and brings you peace when you accomplish it? For me, it's service. I feel most alive in giving. I feel most alive in giving lectures like this and spending time with you. I feel most alive. When do you feel most alive? And you'll find yourself becoming closer to your passion. The second thing that I think is extremely important is, once you figure out what it is that you are looking to accomplish, you must be very careful of the company that you keep. Who are you spending time with? Who are you around? How do you spend your time? And who do you spend your time with? Because even if you had Oprah Winfrey's money, you can't buy back yesterday. It's gone. It's done. So who are you around? Who are your friends? Where do you get your inspiration? And I want you to be mindful of that. You know, I had one of my young guys, and he's 22 years old. And, you know, with everything that's going on in the world right now, he was feeling very overwhelmed. So he's like, man, Basheer, man, I'm just tired, man. I said, you tired? I'm like, yo, man, you in the first minute of the first quarter. You can't be tired. What you mean? I said, you know what I want you to do? I want you to join me. I want you to join me. Come out into the community with me and help me serve the community. He says, okay. So he comes out. He helps me serve. I said, hey, how you feel now? He said, I feel refreshed, man. I feel refreshed. Don't you know that you gain more from giving than you ever will from receiving? You got to give. You got to spend your time in service if you are going to be successful. And with everything going on right now in the world, it's easy to become very overwhelmed because you are fighting, you know, you're fighting and you're looking at this guy in DC and you're just becoming overwhelmed. And no matter how much you fight and no matter how much you protest, Black people are still suffering. Black people are still dying. No matter what you do, you feel like you never can do enough. I understand that feeling. But I want you to change your focus. Change your focus. I want you to begin to focus on the things that you can impact today. What do you mean, Basheer? When is the last time that you just cleaned up your neighborhood? I'm sure you got some trash down the block on your street. Have you ever thought about forming a block club, cleaning up your neighborhood? Or what about some cousins that you have? Maybe they need help with their math. Maybe they need help with their science. You see, if you begin to focus on the thing that's closest to you, if you focus on the thing that's closest to you, you can begin to see small victories. And that way you begin to see progress. But if you look at it from a macro, nothing that you do will ever be successful. I want you to make sure that you're doing what you need to do, that you're doing what you need to do to maintain self-care. Don't get so caught up in what's happening in the world that you forget to breathe. And let me tell you, this is my biggest struggle. I'm saying this to you, but it's a battle for us who want to change the world. But you can't change the world until you change the galaxy within. And you have to understand this. You have to know this. So I say in closing to you, Allah loves you. And it said that you know when Allah loves you, when he makes you of benefit to the world. Who are you benefiting? Who are you uplifting? Who are you motivating? And whatever you do, don't stop. You can take a break, but don't stop. This is your leg of the race. This is your time. Run that race and run it well. May Allah bless us, protect us, and strengthen us, and guide us, and bless us to have courage to fight, and to fight our greatest opposition at times, which is ourselves. To work on yourself, increase in salat, increase in remembrance, increase in reflection, be around good people, and don't get overwhelmed by trying to fight a 400-year battle in one day. Take your time, breathe, relax. You can break windows, but they're gonna fix them. We have to break a system that has been thriving off of structural racism for the past 400 years. May Allah give us victory. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah khair, Councilman, for those very powerful and impactful words. May we all have the strength and perseverance to to hold them in our daily lives and make positive impacts. So we're going to have a few minutes of question and answer. If you guys want to either post them in the chat box or either unmute yourself and ask, we'll have a few minutes of question and answer before we move to discussion.
Alhamdulillah, no worries. We'll talk a little bit, and hopefully the people exposure. This is great. This is great. So exposure is something for me that being in the neighborhood that I grew up in, this may sound real crazy, I'm about to tell you. Yo, I thought that dry cleaning was for white people. Straight up. I'm like, yo, only white people do dry cleaning. I didn't know. I did not know because I was in a box. I was just in my neighborhood. I only knew what I knew. And I wasn't exposed to anything else. So I want you to understand that you have to be exposed to people of different mindsets, different cultures. You have to be exposed. And don't think that just because somebody is different from you, that they are worse than you. We can have differences. I'm telling you, we have much more similarities than we do differences. All right. So I want you to expose yourself. You know, when I was younger, just being Muslim, you know, like people would, okay, I'm gonna tell you this right here. So when I was younger, I used to wear like suit and tie, like I wear now, right? So his brother comes up to me. He says, brother, this is the dress of the kuffar. Wallahi azim. This is the dress of the kuffar. Astaghfirullah. And I'm like, yo. I said, ma smuk, ma smuk. Min aina anta? Like, yo, what's your name? Where you come from? You don't even know me. You don't know my name. You don't know my struggles. And especially like being black, like I'm a third generation Muslim. My grandparents was Muslim. My parents was Muslim. You know what I'm saying? So I studied in Malay. Right now I'm finishing up my master's at Bayan Claremont, master's in Islamic studies. So I have 2 more classes left, alhamdulillah. And I studied over in Malaysia for a while, right? So as you can tell, I'm black, okay? So somebody was like, the adhan goes off, right? So they're like, brother, do you know what this is saying? You talking about the adhan? Yeah, I know what it's saying, brother. He says, he says to me, he says, Min aina anta? Where you from? I said, Min Brooklyn, New York. He said, la 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 la. He says, Umuk, like your mother. I said, Brooklyn, New York. Abuk, your father, Brooklyn, New York. Your grandmother. Oh no, she's not from New York. He said, oh, I knew it. I said, yeah, she's from Georgia, man. No, we're all from America, okay? He thought I was from Sudan. He thought I was Somali. He thought I was Nigerian. That's a whole nother situation, I believe, with all due respect, if Muslims are going to be successful on this planet, we cannot look for leadership from, I'm going to say, listen, if you're looking for Saudi Arabia to be the leaders of what Muslims are supposed to be, you are foolish, okay? You are foolish. I felt racism in the haram, okay? And I always ask myself the question, how is it possible, this beautiful place, how is it possible that the spirituality has not evolved into political revolution? Some of the worst purveyors of injustice takes place right in Saudi Arabia. And if it wasn't for the Kaaba and for the Prophet's mosque, man, who in the world would go there? It's a whole other conversation, but it's a very important one as we look at America and the issues of America and what's happening in America and what's happening in Syria, what's happening in Iraq and Iran. I don't care anything about these issues of Shiite and Sunni and blah, blah, blah. Like, who cares about that? I'm not talking about that. You understand? I'm talking about human decency. And as Muslims, no matter what, I don't serve my community as the councilman because I want them to become Muslim. I serve them because I'm Muslim. And that's the message that we have to have. It ain't always about, we're going to give dawah, everybody put your finger up, say, ashhadu an la. Like, we don't have to turn everybody into a Muslim, okay? That's not our goal. Our goal is to be of service to people. And you know the biggest compliment for me is that when I'm serving my community, you know, they come up to me and they say, oh, wow, I didn't know you were Muslim. So now they know me as a servant. So they ask me, well, Basheer, why do you serve the people like that? Because I'm Muslim. Why do you dress like you dress? Because I'm Muslim. Why do you do this? Because I'm Muslim. Yo, why you do that? Oh, because I'm human. My fault, man. I got issues, man. I got my own problems. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I want to share with you all, man, is that you all are great the way you are. Like, stop looking for others to guide you in a sense of your Islam, right? Being in America, I hate to talk to brothers. How are you asking somebody from another country to tell you how to be a Muslim in America? That don't make no sense. How can you tell me how to be a Muslim in America if you don't understand the struggles and the battles of being Muslim in America? We have to grow our own scholarship here. And that's why it's imperative for all of my high school students, man, be great. Be great. Be great, because you are great, okay? You're great. Allah has blessed you. And guess what? It don't matter. It don't matter what you have experienced. Don't you ever believe for 1 second that Allah does not love you. And in the Quran, you will find that love and justice, they go together. You know why? You can't have justice without love, and you can't have no love without justice. They come together. In the Bible, it says, how do you say that you love God that you don't see, but hate man that you do see? Surely you are a liar. And that's right with the Hadith Qudsi. Why? Allah says, I am to my servant what they think I am. Huh? Yeah. So what I'm saying to you is, know that your God is a merciful God. And that whatever struggles that you're going through, Allah is not trying to destroy you. Allah loves you. Allah loves you. I am to my servant what he thinks I am. So if you believe that Allah loves you, Allah loves you. And even if you don't, Allah still loves you. And I'll stop on this. One of my classmates talked to our teacher. He said, Ustadha, I feel like I've been distant from Allah. I feel like I've been distant from Allah. And she said, who moved? Yeah. She dropped bars like that, man. Like, boom, like that. That was cold. Who moved? Did you move or did Allah move? We move. So come back to Allah.
So Jazakallah khair for that. The next question we have is, having been in political office now for several years, what is a good balance for communities in terms of engaging with elected officials versus grassroots effort?
Say that last part again.
What's a good balance of communities in terms of engaging with elected officials versus grassroots efforts?
SubhanAllah, wallahi, this is a good question. And I don't think I'm the one to answer it. Balance is not my strong suit. I'm struggling with that. But it's deep though, because I'm an activist who now I'm using my activism through legislation. In Cleveland, we just declared racism a public health crisis. And now every major institution in Cleveland is now drafting up plans and commitments to address the issue of structural racism, right? Recently, we just decriminalized marijuana. And people are like, you discriminalize marijuana, brother. Astaghfirullah. Yeah, okay. You know, in the Sharia, there's something called maslaha. Maslaha. And what maslaha is, basically means for the public good. You see, just because you don't engage in something doesn't mean that you can't fight for it. So even though you don't smoke weed, you do know that marijuana has been used to criminalize Black and brown people. So even though you don't engage in it, you still can fight for something that has greater good, even though you personally don't consume it. So there has to be a balance, man, because I don't consider myself a politician. But I've been having some of the young activists in our city. I try to give them advice. And you have to learn that after you break windows, destroy buildings, you got to build something. You have to know what you're fighting for. If you're protesting just to protest, you're going to get tired. That's a sprint. The marathon is understanding what it is that you're fighting for. And it's all politics, right? Politics is the art of compromise. You may not get 1 through 10, but maybe you'll get 2, 3, 5, and 9 compromising. And to my young people, especially you, because we're so we're like, man, we got to do it right now. I want to change it right now, tomorrow. Man, you plant the seeds. You may not be around to benefit from the harvest, but you plant the seeds for those who come in after you. Very important.
So that actually takes us to our next question. How would you explain to the youth about what the problem is of only joining movements as like looking woke or as fads or trends on social media? How do you focus? How do you have them realize that?
No, this is a matter of the heart. This is a matter of the unseen. And I don't know what a person's heart is and why they're doing what they're doing. But sooner or later, one thing about time is that it always tells. It always tells. So, hey, if they want to do it to look woke or whatever, alhamdulillah, maybe Allah is going to use that moment to wake up their hearts. I don't, it's okay. Everybody has their own journey that they go on. And sometimes, there's one hadith that's like a golden transmission. There's a lot of hadiths, man. A lot of them that we be saying that's not true. We just be making stuff up. Hey, the prophet said, man, the prophet didn't say that, man. So I said, why are you making that up, man? People be making stuff up. But there's one hadith out of many that's a part of the golden transmission that basically goes back to the Prophet ﷺ. It says, basically, and I'm not saying verbatim, but basically, mind your business. Mind your business. As Muslims, we have to learn how to mind our business and get out of Allah's business, which is the heart of human beings. And you just never know why a person is doing it. It said that Allah loved Umar when he was bowing down to the idols. because Allah knew his state. He knew his reality. When you and I, we walk in and we see this prostitute, we see this drug dealer, you understand? We automatically look at them, look down on them, not knowing that maybe they are a friend of God. We don't know. We don't know. So we got to treat everybody with respect, man. And everybody got their own journey.
So the last question we have is, what advice would you give to Muslim students trying to educate themselves to tackle racism at the same time without making our few Black Muslim members in our MSA feel it is their responsibility to do so?
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's a beautiful question, man. Number one, you have to make dua. You have to constantly check your intentions. Constantly make sure that you're doing it for the right reason. You know what I'm saying? And that's something for me personally that I am constantly like, yo, what am I doing this for? What am I saying this for? You know what I'm saying? Or am I doing this Zoom because I want you to say, wow, Basheer got a nice tie? Like, what am I doing this for? You know, you have to constantly purify your intentions. And we have to get into the habit of, you know, I gotta say this. I've been having some issues with some of my white friends. Like, you can't be like, how are you like angrier than me about racism? Like, you're like trying to out anger me. Like, you can't tell me how I'm supposed to feel about this situation. I was at a protest and a white guy said to me, you should be mad. Like, man, if you don't get out my face, man, you don't know how I feel. You don't know what's going on in my mind and in my heart. So this is very important, guys. We get into the habit of asking Black people, and not just Muslims, by the way, asking them, how can I assist you? How can I assist you? Another thing is in your own households, because don't let racism or racist talk even go by without you checking it. And let's just be real. Some of you have heard your parents say things that were not right. Some of you have heard your cousins and your family say things that were not right. So how are you addressing that? How are you addressing that? But I'm gonna tell you, I've been very proud of how Muslims have been reacting across the globe. I mean, I'm looking at marches, and I'm seeing those hijabs. I'm seeing all types of people on the front line. And that's what makes me so happy, man. I think the Muslims are doing an amazing job. I think they're doing great right now. I think we're doing an amazing job in showing people that we don't just care about what's happening to Muslims. We care about what's happening to humanity. And guess what, y'all? When you fight for justice, this is ibadah, no doubt about it. This is worship. This is you fulfilling the prophetic legacy. Straight up, man. Straight up. So know that when you're going out, Bismillah. You know what I'm saying? You go out and protesting, Bismillah. You know what I'm saying? When you go out and you about to do a lecture, Bismillah. When you go out, Bismillah. Right? There we go. There we go. Everything is Bismillah. Everything is Bismillah. Don't ever forget that. When you recognize that and you understand that, then you know that everything that you're doing when you fight for justice, you're doing it in the name of Allah. You know what I'm saying? And while you're doing it, while you're protesting, while you're fighting, stay in dhikr. Subhanallah. Alhamdulillah. La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. Stay in dhikr. Right? Stay in dhikr. But even that action is dhikr in itself. It's remembrance. And we want Allah to, and our angels, the angels, to write in our books that we was present during this time fighting for justice. Wallahi. So may Allah bless you. May Allah strengthen you. Hey, listen, take it easy on yourself, okay? Be fragile with yourself, because you will stress yourself out. You will stress yourself out fighting this battle, okay? So take it easy on yourself. Be easy. Breathe, drink water, and don't ever forget, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyu qayyum. La ta'khudhuhu sinatun wa la nawm. Right? Lahu ma fi samawati wa ma fil ard. Allah, there is no God but He, the self-subsisting, the eternal, and no slumber seizes Him, nor sleep. His are all things in the heaven and the earth. And who is there that can intercede except as He permits? Know that Allah is in control. Allah is in control. Donald Trump is not in control. Donald Trump is just an actor in the play that Allah has already written. May Allah bless you. May Allah protect you. May Allah strengthen you. And may Allah bless you to be patient and be fragile with yourself. And stay in dhikr. Stay in dhikr. May Allah bless us. Ameen. Allahumma ameen. Thank you all so much.
Jazakallah khair very much for your councilman. May Allah bless you and continue to give you the strength to pursue your positive work that you've been making on all our lives in the Cleveland community.
Ameen. And Muhammad, let me say this, man. Inshallah, if I can get all of your du'as for a couple things. One, for my beloved mother. My mother, her name is Imani. She passed away 10 years back from breast cancer. She was my best friend. There's not a day that I don't think about her. Please make a dua for her. And secondly, inshallah, in the upcoming election here in Cleveland, 2021, I will be running for mayor of the city of Cleveland, inshallah. And hopefully will become the first Muslim mayor of a major city in America. So please keep me in your du'as and tell some of your doctor parents that we need their checks, inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah, of course. Jazakallah khair for your time. For anyone that we're moving on to the discussion section now. For anyone that cannot stay for that, our next session will be on Thursday, inshallah, with Preacher Moss. So we'll now be breaking out everybody into breakout sessions, and we'll have a short, about half-hour discussion.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. I think there's 4 of us in this discussion group. Can y'all hear me?